invited Matt on the program today because we wanted to talk about the subject to appraisals, right? Like, what does that mean, right? When you're buying a home and getting a mortgage, you need an appraisal, right? Almost in all cases, unless they waive it, and that's a whole nother thing. Maybe we could talk about if we have time. What is a subject to appraisal? Back to you, Matt.
Yeah, so you're right. Appraisals are a very important part of the process of purchasing a home and refinancing. Basically, an appraiser is a licensed third party part of the process where they go in and they're the eyes and ears of the bank, basically, to go in and make sure that the collateral is worth what the person's trying to get accomplished, whether it's a purchase or a refinance. The condition is an appropriate condition. There's not any sound safe and secure issues, such as like holes in the ceiling where, the weather can come in with no problem. But we do get into these situations where an appraisal comes back. It can only come back in two different ways: as is or subject to. And as is the goal. It means that, hey, this house is worth what it is. It passes all the requirements of the loan product. And it's worth X amount of dollars as is. So that's the goal, right? But sometimes the appraisals come back with the categorized as subject to. And what they say is that this house is going to be worth X amount of dollars subject to you fixing X, Y, and Z at the house. And that can throw sometimes a wrench into the process of purchasing a home, depending on what the X, Y, and Z is, right? It's a team effort that not just the buyer's real estate agent, the buyer's lender are working with the buyer to get this resolved, but then the seller's listing agent gets involved, sellers get involved, and we have to really sort out, especially if it wasn't predicted. Sometimes I have customers that know that it's going to come back subject to, and then we put solutions in place ahead of time, so that way when it does come back subject to, we have already a solution for it. And that's the ideal way to go into a home. So buyers that are out there, when you're shopping and you're seeing will not pass FHA or VA requirements, that generally means there's something that's going to come back on the appraisal that is subject to. It's in my opinion that whoever's listening out there, that none of these subject to items that come back are really ever complete roadblocks to be able to close. You just have to now make it part of the process of, just like you had to do an appraisal, now you have to fix these subject to items, and we can do those a couple of different ways. Two options that we have on our table, well, actually we have three really, is one, get them fixed before the closing so they're not an issue. The second one is doing what they call an escrow holdback, which is not 100% guaranteed as a reliable solution, because it's case by case basis. So depending on how big the scope of work is, if it's something small or a couple of small things, then it's more than likely we're going to be able to do an escrow holdback, where like you said, we get our contractors to list out itemized labor and material, the cost of cure to fix whatever that subject to item is, and then we bring that money to the closing in addition to all the other funds, and we hold back that money to be released once the items are refixed after closing. So that's a great, easy solution. We try to go with that one first. And then the third one is that sometimes if the scope of work is too big and they just cannot do an escrow holdback, we have in place renovation loans, which are your standard 203K, home style renovation, VA renovation loans, where we can take that customer and actually do a full reno loan, where we incorporate the funds necessary to be able to escrow the house. And now we're getting into a bigger project. But again, no subject to appraisal has stopped me from closing. It's just something that you have to deal with.